What's going on, guys? It's your boy Jacob from Topside MMA, and today we're going over Week 7 of Dana White's Contender Series Season 9. You guys know the deal. We're going to break down all these fights top to bottom, and I'm going to tell you guys everything you need to know to make your picks for this week. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Also, we're going to have our live stream fight companion Tuesday, September 23rd at 8 p.m. for this card. 8 p.m. EST, 15 minutes before the fight starts. We're going to be going live. We're going to be talking the fights, the bets. We're going to be chilling the entire night. So thank you guys for everyone who's been showing up the last couple weeks. The live streams have been so much fun. It's been so great to talk to you guys and just chill and watch these fights together. So we're doing it again this week. So make sure to stay tuned and join us in the live stream. It's going to be so much fun. So, all right, let's break these fights down. Now, first up, we got Rafael Tobias versus Jair de Oliveira. This is a weird one. There are a lot of fights on this card that are extremely weird because there's either things that we don't know, there's stones left unturned, there's a lot of question marks and red flags. This entire card is kind of a dumpster fire of red flags, and this is one of the fights in particular. Now, we have Rafael Tobias versus Jair de Oliveira. Like we said, Rafael Tobias, 22-year-old from Brazil, 13-1 record, which is kind of crazy considering he's only 22 years old. He has a lot of experience. And then on the other hand, you have Jair de Oliveira, who's 29 years old with a 6-0 record, which is a bit concerning because it's like, all right, he's 29 years old, only has 6 professional fights. A bit of a concern, but even more of a concern about Jair de Oliveira is that there is no tape out there to watch for this man. You cannot find this guy's previous fights. I have looked high and low. I have scoured the internet. I have not been able to find hardly anything of this man. Even training, it was hard to find. So this is one of the few picks where I have to pick Rafael Tobias here. And I'm going to break him down a little bit, but I have to pick him purely because I have seen literally nothing of Jair de Oliveira. Nothing. Even if you go through his Instagram, and I'll show you guys that, there is literally nothing out there on this guy. So if you guys have found any of his fights somewhere deep through the archives of YouTube, please let me know. Link it in the comment section. I have not been able to find it. We'll talk about Rafael Tobias because I have found some stuff on him, but it's just I haven't seen anything on Jair de Oliveira, so this is really a one-sided pick in prediction. But with Rafael Tobias, we have seen quite a bit of him. Switch you guys over. Now we can pull it up. Boom, with Rafael Tobias, now, the level of competition, it's not the highest, and I totally get that. He's not fighting the absolute killers. However, for 22 years old, it's actually pretty solid. As you can see, he's fought some guys with 0-0 records, some negative records, but like this 6-4 guy, 6-3, 3-1, or this is who he lost to, but 4-3, 8-5. So not absolute cans, but at the same time, not the highest level of competition. But the thing is, the one thing that stood out to me is that, besides his fight style, is that it's been a lower level regional scene type of guys that he's been fighting in Brazil, but the one time that he did step up in competition was when he joined the LFA. He only had one fight in the LFA, and he did lose to this guy named Miguel Porto. If you check this guy out, he was 3-1 at the time. Now he's 4-2, I believe. 4-2 now. Got Bob's Burgers popping up. But so it goes to show when he did step up his level of competition, he did show that he wasn't able to necessarily hang. But at the same time, I don't want to really hold that against him because this was 2023. And at the time, now he's 22 in 2025. So he's 20 years old for this fight. I'm not going to hold that win too far over his head. And I'm not going to put too much weight onto that loss. I'm not going to put that loss having too much regard for him just because I don't want to really judge a guy for a fight that he had when he was 20 years old. So the fact that he's done this well at 22 years old is pretty impressive to me. And like I said, when he did have that step up in competition, it was a concern, but since then he's had a good little run of getting a couple wins on the regional scene again. But yeah, from Rafael Tobias, with his fight style, he really likes to take guys to the ground, especially in his more recent fights. I don't know if that knockout loss had anything to do with it, kind of changing up his style. Not saying he was super aggressive beforehand, but he likes to take guys to the ground. Now, whether he goes for a ground and pound, whether he goes for a submission win, it could be either one. He's done both. But the main thing is he's been liking to take guys to the ground and really control them on the ground. And I think that's honestly a good idea against a guy like Jair de Oliveira. The reason I say that is because, like I said, you can't find hardly anything on Jair de Oliveira. So when we get in this type of situation where there's hardly no tape on a guy, you got to start reaching. So I was like, all right, I'm going through this man's Instagram. I'm pulling up his stuff, trying to find anything I can find on this guy. And what do I see? I'll tell you what I don't see. I don't see anything of this man grappling on the mats. There is no footage of this guy grappling at all, which doesn't give me any confidence. Now, what I do see from him is him hitting the pads. It looks like he's a trainer in his part-time job. I don't know if it's full-time job, part-time job. It seems like he's a trainer. He trains with the same girl all the time. I don't know if that's his wife or his girlfriend. But anytime you see this guy, he's in like this girl's corner, as you can see. It just seems like he's training. I don't know if he's a striking coach or what. The few times we do see him, we don't see him working on the mats. There was one fight that I saw recent that was looked like he was doing like something like bare knuckle or something. Yeah, like this right here. almost looked like he was a bare knuckle boxer or something. I don't know. I didn't see it on his record, but I don't know what this guy's doing on his off time or what he's doing, but everything we see from him, it's all has to do with the pads. I mean, it all has to do with boxing. This guy is not a grappler. In a fight against a guy like Rafael Tobias, that really gives me no confidence at all that he's going to be able to hang in the ground if it gets there. Now, if this fight stays on the feet, there could be a genuine concern. You know, in terms of their boxing, I don't think Rafael Tobias is the best boxer from what I've seen. So in terms of the striking on the feet, this could be relatively competitive. The only thing is, I just think at some point Rafael Tobias is likely going to take it to the ground. And at that point, he's probably going to be the more dangerous guy on the ground, just because we haven't seen anything from Jair de Oliveira to suggest that he even has a shot on the ground. That's not to say that he has no chance or that it's a guarantee, like there's nothing this guy can do on the ground, because we haven't seen that. And there's so many unknowns in this spot. This is a low-level light heavyweight match, and you got one guy at a minus 350. This line has actually even gotten worse. He is now a minus 400 favorite, so it's gotten even worse than this. So huge red flag in terms of this fight overall as a whole. The pick's got to be Rafael Tobias, just because at his young age we've seen more from him. I've been able to see that how he's looked in a loss, you know, how he's looked in his wins. Now the step up in level of competition, and then when he lost in LFA, is a concern. But at only 22 years old, I think he's going to be rapidly improving his game. He really seems to be the fighter who's taking his career a lot more seriously. With 14 pro fights at only 22 is extremely impressive. Whereas Jair de Oliveira, I don't even know how he got this opportunity. I don't know who saw any of his footage and said, yep, that's the guy that we need to sign. Makes no sense to me. The funny thing about this fight is that it was either the first or the second bout announced. This bout was announced June 14th. So this has been, this isn't some last minute, oh, we need to scrape someone together. This has been booked for a long time. So maybe it's a setup spot for Rafael Tobias. I'm not really sure. You know, a 22-year-old with 13-1 record, I get why they signed him. I totally get it. It's more so the Jair de Oliveira. Why the hell is this guy even here? So maybe it's a setup. I don't know. Or maybe he's just some diamond in the rough that we'd have no idea. Maybe he's an absolute killer. I don't know. I'm damn sure not taking the risk on Jair de Oliveira here because we haven't seen shit from him. The pick's got to be Rafael Tobias, but I would be extremely hesitant about this one. I will not be laying anything on this because we don't know what Jair de Oliveira even looks like. If you guys I found anything, please let me know. Link it in the comments. But yeah, like I said, haven't seen anything on him, so the pick's got to be Rafael Tobias. Now, next up, we got Javier Reyes versus Justice Torres. Now, this is an interesting one because really, I don't think either of these guys are UFC level. Now, Justice Torres maybe could be in a couple years, maybe. I just don't really know if either of these guys are going to have a great future if either one of them makes it into the UFC. Now, Javier Reyes, he's kind of like he's just kind of like all right everywhere. His striking's not great. He's more of a grappler. I'm trying to relate him to someone that I could think of. It's just nothing's coming to me right now. But Reyes is just, he'll beat lower level guys, but I just feel like once he gets against guys that can actually hang at like a UFC level, he's going to struggle. As we've seen from his tape too. I'll pull you guys over to Javier Reyes. Boom. The thing that concerns me above all else with him in this fight is going to be his chin. Now, we saw when he fought a heavy hitter like Le'Veon Douglas, who was just on the Contender Series. He put Cam Teague to bed in 30 seconds? What was it? It was 36 seconds. Yeah. Obviously, Le'Veon Douglas, he has power in his hand. So that's the last time that, Reyes has been knocked out in the last couple years. So I don't want to hold that against him all that much because we know that Douglas has insane power. But at the same time, it does worry me against a guy like Justice Torres, Justice Torres, he's so used to guys trying to grapple him and take him to the ground. And basically his game plan, especially in his last two fights, has been withstand the wrestling early on, wait till his opponents tire out, and then land a huge bomb and put him out. The thing with this fight, though, is that he's taking this fight on short notice. In fact, he is taking this fight, I put in my notes the exact date. So Reyes has been scheduled against the previous opponent. He's had an entire fight camp to prepare for this. So he's been fighting or preparing for this since July 27th, whereas Justice Torres was brought in to step up on September 17th. So he's stepping up on 6 days' notice to take this fight. His game plan of weathering the early storm in the grappling, because guys take him down too. It's not like has great takedown defense. Guys take him down, but then eventually in the second round, he's able to kind of bounce back. Guys start to slow down a little bit. Their takedowns aren't as fierce as they were in the first round, and then he kind of starts to land some bombs, take over the fight, and then he gets his knockout wins. That's literally been his last two fights. The thing that worries me, though, is one, the short notice step up, so who knows how his cardio is going to look. Now, his cardio has looked fine in the past, so I'm going to assume that at 27 years old, a hungry prospect, he's got to probably be in fight camp ready, or in fight shape, all year round. Maybe not ready to step up like Dan Ige on 4 hours notice or something, but I assume his cardio and his conditioning is pretty consistent all year round. He's training at a good camp with guys like Josh Van down in Houston, Texas, so I'm not really doubting his corner. I'm not doubting the guys that he's training with. I think he's getting in high-level work, and at 27 years old, I do see him improving and looking a lot better in the coming years, whereas with Javier Reyes at 31 years old, I just don't know how much better Javier Reyes is going to get, because the main thing with him is that he's a grappler. His striking is not good. Defensively, he is hittable, and against a guy like Justice Torres, who has decent power, he only has 5 wins by knockout, but I would tell you, that record is a bit deceiving. I think he has more power than that really suggests, for only 5 out of 12 wins coming by knockout. I think he has the power to put a guy like Javier Reyes out. The short notice step up does concern me. And with Javier Reyes, he just hasn't looked great against a lot of opponents. He's looked good against lower level guys. He can knock out lower level opponents, and he's good on the ground. Don't get me wrong. I just don't know if he has the offensive wrestling to really take it to the ground where he needs this fight to go. If this was a grappling match, I would take Javier Reyes. I would take him every day of the week, because I just don't think Justice Torres has one great takedown defense, but he just doesn't have the same level of grappling. And it makes sense, the guys that he's training with, someone like Josh Van, those guys want to strike, man. They don't want to go to the ground. Now, I'm not saying he's incompetent on the ground, because Josh Van does have good takedown defense and he's able to keep it on the feet. But my point is that those guys aren't really training they're training BJJ, but my point is they're not really grapplers. They want to keep it on the feet. They want to stand and strike. That's their style. And against a guy like Javier Reyes, it's pretty good. I would not recommend Justice Torres to go on the ground against him, but my point is that it does worry me in the sense of Javier Reyes doesn't have good takedown offense, or takedown abilities. He's not great with landing takedowns, but at the same time, everyone who tries to take Justice Torres down takes him down. Like, every single person who tries to fight him, they all try to take him down, and so he's used to it, but at the same time, his takedown defense is not good. He gets taken down in pretty much every single fight. So there's so many red flags with this fight, because it's like both these guys have big holes in their game. If you look at Javier Reyes, he has a chin problem. His striking's not very good. Now, he's good on the ground, but he doesn't have a good means of taking it to the ground. And against a guy like Justice Torres, he has the better striking of the two, but he's going to be in a disadvantage on the ground, and his takedown defense isn't good. So it's like you have bad takedown defense versus bad takedown landing abilities. Who's going to win? Who's going to come out on top? I don't know. And then it's like, at the same time, you have someone like Justice Torres who has good cardio, but now he's stepping up on short notice. How is that going to look? You got a guy like Javier Reyes, where normally he hasn't been knocked out. He's only been knocked out twice in his entire career. But the thing is, when Le'Veon Douglas knocked him out, if you watch that fight back, he gets put out cold. Literally, I was watching this fight back. I was like, holy shit. Because I watched it when I was doing tape study on Le'Veon Douglas for the Contender Series. But I kind of forgot how brutal of a knockout it was. It's not like he hit him with some crazy wheel kick where it's just heel to temple and you're just like, you can't even blame someone for getting knocked out. He hit him with an overhand shot that, obviously had power because it put him out. But it wasn't like some devastating caught out of nowhere. You know what I mean? It wasn't some crazy shot that came from the hills. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was, considering how the impact that the shot had. It was a lot worse than I thought it would have been. And you saw when he hit the ground too, Le'Veon Douglas, he hit this nasty follow-up shot that it almost looked like I put in my notes, it looked like putting a dog down or like putting a horse down. Javier Reyes is on the ground, completely out of it, and Douglas comes up and he just lands this follow-up shot. It was disgusting. It was nasty. Literally you watch his body, he's not really in it, and then he just goes limp. It looks like putting someone down. It was absolute madness. So you guys got to watch that fight if you haven't. But anyway, my point with this breakdown is that I just think there are so many red flags with both of these guys. I don't necessarily think either of these guys are UFC level. I have a ton of concerns for both. For now, I've got burned. Last week I got burned picking Jair when she was the better striker but had the worst chin, or just better fighter in general, but had the worst chin. And I feel like whichever side I pick, that's why I feel like this is almost like a David Martinez versus Rob Font of a fight. If I pick Javier Reyes, then Justice Torres is going to come out and knock him out in the first round with a bomb. And if I pick Justice Torres, then Javier Reyes is going to grapple fuck his way to a wet blanket win for 15 minutes. And it's on the Contender Series too, so it's like, how much of a game plan are these guys going to stick to? How safe are they going to play it? How reckless are they going to go? If this was a normal fight, I actually would probably lean Javier Reyes a lot more, because I figure if he wants to take it to the ground, he definitely can against a guy like Justice Torres, sorry. And if he gets it to the ground, he's going to have the grappling advantage, and I think he could be able to just hug his way to a decision win. I think that's definitely a live outcome, but it's the Contender Series. So I'm like, all right, how much of a boring-esque game plan is Javier Reyes really going to stick to? You know, maybe he does it for a round or two, but I don't know. He's going to want to get a contract, so maybe he's going to trust his hands a bit more. But we've seen when he trusts his hands, he's gotten knocked out before. So this fight worries me, man. I guess for now, I'll pick Justice Torres, just because I think he's going to have more power in the hands. He has good cardio to get up if he gets taken down, and I think if he touches the chin of Javier Reyes, it's going to be night-night, or it could be night-night for him. So I just have too many concerns. I have hardly any confidence in this. This is one fight, though, I will say. I am going to wait for the weigh-ins, because I think that'll have a good... It'll be good to see how Justice Torres is going to look, how drained he's going to look coming up on 6 days notice. So I'm going to be waiting for the weigh-ins. That'll be important for me to see. But in the meantime, I'm telling you guys, this is like a red flag of a fight. There are red flags on both sides. So I'm not extremely confident in this pick. I've gone back and forth a couple times. Originally I had Javier Reyes as my pick. But it's just the chin is like concerning me, man. I've gotten burned picking the better fighter to lose because their chin gives up on them like a lone air Kavanaugh. So I have my hesitations about this one. I just want to let you guys know. I'm going to be waiting for weigh-ins probably for my final pick. But yeah, that does it for this one. Now, next up, we got Sofia Montenegro versus Jeisla Chaves. This is another red flag of a fight. Now, with Chaves, there's hardly any tape study out on this girl. So when I was trying to find this girl's fights, it was rough. It was trying to find anything on this girl is damn near impossible. However, the more I dug, the more I was able to find some clips, some highlight reels, and I also was able to find her most recent fight that I was able to watch all the way through. And I gotta say, she doesn't look like a world beater, but she does look good. She has a Muay Thai base. She wants to keep it on the feet, and she's had success against low-level competition. Now, I'll pull you guys over. A lot of people are really shitting on Jeisla Chaves, and I get it. Her level of competition is extremely, extremely bad. Now, if you look at this girl, you look at their records, 0-0, 0-4, 0-0, 0-2, 0-2. She's not beating anyone with a win, and I totally get it. Actually, though, this Rebecca Sosa girl, she did get a win. 1-3. So one of her opponents has gotten a win since, but it's kind of just a meme. It's kind of just a joke, like... The level of competition is extremely poor. You can't find any of these fights. I was able to find a couple highlights of these. I watched this Rebecca Sosa fight all the way through. She dominated on the feet. Nothing super impressive. I mean, she was just the better fighter. Rebecca Sosa really didn't seem like she should even be out there. The weird thing about this one too is I was able to find some old Muay Thai fights of Chaves from years ago, and they were against opponents that weren't even listed on her Tapology. So I don't know what year they were. It was a long ass time ago because she looked super young. They looked like kids out there. So I don't know what year they were. I would have to assume at least 5+ years ago. But it was weird because I was looking for them on the Tapology, and it was not this. It was not this girl. It was some name. I compared the names. She was not on here at all. Very weird. But it was so long ago. I'm not really putting any weight on that. More so, I'm thinking more about her most recent fights. And the thing with Chaves though, and I know this is going to be a hot take for this week. I'm actually picking Chaves this week. I'm picking her. The reason why, we got to break down Sofia first, but I'm picking her because, yes, her level of competition is piss poor, but I haven't seen her face any real adversity. She's looked pretty good. Even against Cans, I don't want to say running through, because as you can see from her record, she's gotten to a couple decisions. It's just she's been able to really, I don't want to say dominate, but she's beaten Cans. She's beating the Cans with no adversity. Any low-level fighters are not giving her trouble. She's not going to split decisions, as you can see. She's finishing girls ground and pound. She's finishing them on the feet. She's been able to look decent. The only thing I'm worried about her in this fight is possibly her takedown defense, because Sofia Montenegro likes to take it to the ground. That's the only thing. Like, if I was able to see Chaves have really good takedown defense, I would be a lot more confident in this pick. But that's the only thing that worries me, because Sofia Montenegro has been able to take girls down. Haven't seen Chaves' takedown defense tested. I have to imagine though that in this fight she's probably going to be training that, because she's known about her opponent for quite a while. But it's more so with this pick. I'm picking Chaves more so because I'm fading Sofia Montenegro, as opposed to I'm not really picking Chaves. So take this pick with a grain of salt. I get it. It's like I'm a complete minority in this pick. Most people are taking Montenegro, but I'm going to break Montenegro down for you guys, and I'm going to tell you why I just cannot pick her. I'm fading her. Like I said, it's a fade, not really picking Chaves. Look at Sofia Montenegro. Now, she's fought in the better level of competition. Do not get me wrong. I totally get it. She's fought the higher level of competition. But she has some red flags in her game. Some major, major concerns in her game that are so bad to the point where I cannot in good faith, pick her and take her as a pick this week. Now, her first loss in her career against Gisela Luna. This is bad for two reasons. One, she gets knocked out, or three reasons, I guess. The first reason would be, getting knocked out in 10 seconds against anyone, especially as a lady in a ladies fight, is not a good look. But the reason why that is not so bad is because one, it's two things. It's a fight IQ problem, and two, it is a chin problem. Now, this Gisela Luna girl, she's not good. At the time this girl was 1-0, look at her now. She's 4-7. All right, she's not even hitting 500 accuracy. So she is not a great fighter. Okay, and she got starched in 10 seconds against Gisela Luna. So first of all, that is not a good sign, just purely off who this girl is. But second of all, her fight IQ is so poor. She's willing to go and just brawl against people, and she just throws caution to the wind. She wants to walk girls down, and you can't do that when you have such terrible striking defense. Sofia Montenegro's striking defense is almost non-existent. She's willing to give one to take one, and if you have chin problems, that is not going to work out for you in the long run, and it hasn't even worked out for her in the regional scene. It was a terrible look in the fight because she literally just walks this girl down, and it wasn't like the girl hit her with some like I said, like a wheel kick or something, where it's like, if you get hit in the head by a wheel kick, I mean, you're probably fucked. I mean, it's like a Mauricio Ruffi where he hit Bobby Green. It's like, those type of kicks they're bad. It wasn't anything like that. It was Sofia Montenegro just got hit, folded like a lawn chair, and from there it was over. She got finished in 10 seconds. Terrible luck. It's the fight IQ. It's one, she is not defensively sound. She's not going to stick to a smart game plan. She's looking to go to war, and her chin's not holding up. That's my point about that fight against Luna. Then, okay, she gets this heel hook over Sofia Landi. Good look, her ground game is not bad at all. She's grappling with high-level people, so I'm not doubting her abilities. And that's the thing, too, with both these girls, I've seen them both train with high-level opponents. I'm blanking on Chaves. She's trained with a lot of UFC level competitors. I'm forgetting who I saw her with. I just remember Sofia Montenegro. I was going through her page. I saw her training with guys like Brandon Moreno. I saw her training with Esteban Rivovic, because all those Argentina guys, they're all close. But Brandon Moreno was interesting. I don't know why she was grappling with him. But yeah, they both have trained with high level competition, especially on the ground. I've seen them. So I'm not super worried about the ground game. But anyway, my point about all this is she had the heel hook. Her grappling looked good in this fight. I will give her that. It looked good. But the fight after that, Aniela Perez. This was the nail in the coffin for me. After I saw this fight, I told myself, okay, I cannot pick this girl. I cannot pick her at all. If you guys have not seen this Aniela Perez fight, it is one of the worst performances I've ever seen. Her striking, Sofia Montenegro striking, looks so terribly bad in this fight. It was astounding how bad her striking was. She had no answers at all. She was getting pieced up on the feet. I'm telling you, this Perez girl could have knocked her out on the feet. If they kept her on the feet the entire time, she would have been knocked out. I mean, she was such a step behind in the striking. It was not even remotely close. And you ask yourself, who is this Aniela Perez? How the fuck should I know? I don't know who Aniela Perez is. She's 1-3 from Venezuela. Haven't seen her since. This is not some world beater. She was going, I can't even say tit for tat, because it wasn't. She was getting her ass kicked on the feet by Aniela Perez. Just how good is Aniela Perez? After this fight, I mean, the only way Sofia Montenegro, she won this fight. As you can see, she won a decision only because she was able to land takedowns. This girl had no takedown defense. She had zero takedown defense. And Aniela Perez had absolutely nothing to give on the feet, or in terms of the grappling. I mean, the second Sofia was shooting these half-ass takedowns, and she was getting every single takedown she landed. I'm pretty sure she shot 100% takedown accuracy. I mean, in terms of like attempted versus landed. Like, I mean, any takedown she went for, she got, and it was kind of crazy how poor Perez's takedown defense was. But that's the only way she was able to survive. I mean, the first round, Sofia's getting lit up on the feet, shoots a takedown, wet blankets her way through the round. Second round, she gets started grappling a little bit earlier, but still pieced up on the feet. Third round, she's getting pieced up on the feet again, then lands a takedown, then wet blankets her way to a win. That was the only way she won that fight. If she was not able to do that, if this Perez girl had decent takedown defense, she would have taken a loss here. I'm telling you, she would have lost there. She could have been knocked out on the feet. So after that fight, and that was recent too, that was 2024. That was a year ago. It was some of the worst striking I've ever seen a year ago, and I can't pick her after seeing that. Now, what I will say, and I think a lot of people are picking Sofia Montenegro because they saw her fight against Dani Barbir. Now, she actually looked really good in this fight. Sofia's striking looked crisp. She was able to go on the offensive and work this girl against the cage, walk her down, and she looked really good. I mean, Vargas had no answers for the striking. It was night and day. It was an ass kicking. I mean, what did she got a decision, but it was an ass kicking. I mean, it was multiple points throughout this fight where I thought, a different ref would have stopped it. I mean, it could have been stopped because she's just wailing on her against the cage, and this girl doesn't really have a ton of answers. So that bounce back fight was a really good look. And what I took away from this is because I'm really going off of these last 2 fights. I mean, that's like the real test for me in terms of her recent competition that stood out to me. It was the Perez fight and this Vargas fight. With the Vargas fight, she was able to be the one on the offensive when she was landing and when she was walking her opponent down, and she's on the offensive and she's the one really pushing the pace. She looked really good on the feet. But when she fought the Perez girl, she was the one backing up and she was on the defensive and she was getting walked down against the cage. She looked like absolute shit on the feet. So maybe that's just what it is. Maybe she's a really good hammer but a terrible nail. I don't know about Sofia Montenegro. I don't know, because it's just 2 fights. It's not like we've seen it happen multiple times with her. But it's so much of a red flag for me that I can't pick her. It's like, I know with Chaves, we haven't really seen shit from her. But it's like, at the same time, I haven't seen her show any major red flags or weaknesses in her game from the small amount of tape that I've seen. Whereas with Sofia Montenegro, I have seen complete lapses of judgment. I've seen chin problems. I've seen her get outstruck by a 1-3 girl from Venezuela who we've never seen before. Those are major red flags. Now, with Chaves, there's not a red flag with her. There's more of a unknown. I don't really know how her takedown defense is going to look. I don't know how her defensive grappling is going to look, because I know she has no submission wins, but it's like, I don't know. Maybe she's just not going for them because she does have that Muay Thai base. So maybe she just likes to keep it on the feet. Maybe she doesn't want to go to the ground. Maybe she has the skill set to keep it at least competitive, to where maybe Sofia Montenegro might be the better grappler, but maybe she doesn't have the offensive wrestling to take it there. I don't know. So honestly, if Sofia Montenegro was to come and grapple her way to a decision win, I will not be surprised in the slightest. It's just, I know Chaves is a Muay Thai fighter who has not shown any weaknesses against low-level competition, where we've seen Sofia Montenegro, 1, get knocked out against low-level competition, 2, look like absolute shit on the feet against low-level competition. So that's enough to wave me off of this, especially with this price tag. Sofia Montenegro minus 180 is absolutely insane to me. I don't know how she could be a 2-1 favorite over anyone. Let alone over Chaves, who, yes, we haven't seen much from her, but it's an unknown. She could be a world beater. And we just saw the interesting thing, too, I had to point out, is that with picking Chaves, pull you guys back over. We're picking Chaves. Go to their Instagram. This is like, we're rolling the dice here. And I totally get that. With Sofia Montenegro, she's going to be a crash out. She's going to go crazy. She's going to go forward. We know what we're going to see from her. But I'm telling you, with Chaves, we're rolling the dice here. We're going through Instagram. This is a picture I want to show you guys. We have seen their prospects from this damn gym. We've seen it. This motherfucker ended up coming out here. I'm blanking on their names, but this one, he ended up coming out and just starching our boy from England. I'm blanking on their names, but you know who I'm talking about. He ended up being a damn good prospect. Even though he was beating cans in Demo Fight League, and everyone was completely writing him off, me included. I was doubting him. I was 100% doubting him. But he ended up looking damn good when he got in the cage, even though he had those uncertainties. Whereas this guy, I'm blanking on their names. He was just the last week, the light heavyweight or the heavyweight, who ended up getting fraud checked. He got fraud checked. He was like a minus 400 favorite against his opponent, gets fraud checked, gets submitted by the guy who stepped up on short notice, on like a week's notice. So we're really rolling the dice. I mean, I think Chaves is going to look like either one of these guys. She's either going to probably come out here and dominate in the striking, or maybe she gets grappled the entire time and gets submitted. I could see either outcome going here. I could see either thing happening. I will not be surprised either way. But purely off the fact that we have not seen any weaknesses yet from Chaves, and we've seen so many weaknesses and holes in Sofia Montenegro's game, I got to pick Chaves in this one. I know I'm totally the minority in this one. I know everyone's picking Montenegro, but I just can't do it. But that does it for this one. Very low confidence pick, very low level fight, so we'll see how this one goes. Next up, we got Brahyan Zurcher versus Murtazali Magomedov. This is another interesting one, because when I was watching Brahyan Zurcher, the first thing that stood out to me, and the first thing I put in my notes is, holy shit, this guy has really slow hands. I mean, his striking is a ton of power, but very slow. It's like surprisingly slow. It almost reminded me of Reese McKee. It almost reminded me of Reese McKee in the sense of like, his striking almost looks like he's striking in slow motion. And that worries me. In terms of his future and who he fights in the future, it's a concern because in a lot of his fights, he's been at a striking disadvantage in terms of the speed. Now, we'll pull him up, sorry. Boom. Whoop. Switch you guys over, go through some of these fights. He is 9-0, so it's like, I don't want to hold that against him too much, but through all of his fights, I mean, he is the slower striker, and at lower weight classes, that's going to be a major concern because Murtazali, he's not necessarily a striker, but he is quick. But anyway, through his fights, Scotty Stockman, this guy was a grappler, wrestler base. If you watch this fight, watch all these fights back. The speed disadvantage is crazy. He had a big speed disadvantage in this fight against Scotty Stockman. He had a big speed disadvantage in this David Evans fight, this Mike Bardsley fight, even this Julian Ruiz fight. I mean, it is like crazy the amount of fights that I've watched from this guy, and I'm like, oh my god, he is at such a speed disadvantage. It is very concerning. Now, that being said, he's willing to eat one to take one. He has very good durability. He has a good Mexican chin. I mean, it's like he has that stereotypical Mexican chin. He can take a shot. He is not fazed by some bombs. He can eat some bombs. But the thing about him is that he's willing to give one to take one, and he is going to have more power than his opponent. He's going chin for chin. He's going to be much better than Magomedov, and power for power, he's going to be much more powerful than Magomedov in this fight. So in terms of that regard, he does have the advantage there, even though he might lack the speed advantage. And it's kind of been like that in his most recent fights. In pretty much all of his fights, he's like that, which is weird because it's like, I know he has a boxing base, but the thing about Zurcher that I do like about him is that he's very well-rounded. Now, there have been times in his fights where he's maybe behind in the speed on the feet, then he's able to wrestle, he's able to grapple, he's able to push guys against the cage, he has good cardio to go long. He's very well-rounded in the sense of, yeah, he has that speed disadvantage, but he has power, he has good wrestling, he has good grappling too. This guy can hang everywhere it goes. This is one of the few fights on the night where I think both of these guys could hang in the UFC. I think they're both high-level fighters, pretty well-rounded. But that does it for Zurcher, I guess. He's pretty, like I said, well-rounded, a good chin, good power in the hands, does like the speed, but has good grappling, good BJJ, very well-rounded fighter. And on the other hand, we have Murtazali Magomedov. Now, the thing about him is, chin for chin, his chin got cracked, and it got cracked bad in his last fight. Now, I'm blanking on the guy that he fought. Oh, what was his damn name? Pull it up. Claudesi Brito. Now, when he's fighting this guy, and he gets cracked, I mean, cracked bad. Like, a different ref would have stopped that fight. It was so bad. He folded. Somehow he survived. Somehow he recovered. More so, I think it was more so of Brito's fault. He kind of sold this fight because Brito, like, knocks him. He hurts him. And then he tries to, like, initiate the grappling and, like, he starts to wrestle and grapple. I'm like, dude, keep it on the feet. You're winning on the feet. Why are you trying to grapple? Kind of stupid. But at the same time, he ends up surviving somehow, goes to the second round. Then he lands this big knee on this Brito guy, completely puts him out. So, Magomedov, he is a grappler at heart. But as we saw from that fight with that big knee that he landed, he can throw some strikes too. He's not bad on the feet. And the thing is too, at only 26 years old, he definitely is a grappler at heart. He's a wrestler at heart. That's his base. But at 26 years old, I'm going to see him, I see him improving at a rapid rate, and he's going to look better and better and better with every fight. And I don't think this is going to be a very one-sided fight. I think this is going to be a pretty close fight. I think both these guys are good. The chin does worry me of Magomedov versus Zurcher, but at the same time, I think he's likely going to be maybe just a step ahead in the grappling and in terms of the speed. I think he's going to have speed on the feet. It's just, I don't know, because Zurcher is more of a, I don't want to say jack of all trades, but pretty much that's what he is. He's just kind of good. He's good everywhere, whereas I would say Magomedov is really good in the grappling, but his striking's definitely not on the same level. So this is a tricky one, man. It's like, but at the same time, it's like in terms of chins though, Zurcher has the much better chin. Magomedov, we've seen his chin cracked. And in terms of this being a contender series fight, how much are these guys going to grapple? You know what I mean? Like, how much are they really going to hang? Now with Zurcher, in terms of the other thing I wanted to point out was the cardio. Zurcher does have the cardio advantage here. It's sometimes like in his fights, it seems like he's slowing down, but then like he kind of like his body language kind of suggests at times that he seems more tired, but then like he doesn't really fight like it. It's kind of weird. It's hard to explain. Whereas with Magomedov, he pushes such a heavy, intensive grappling pace that he does start to tire out later on in his fights. The thing is though, is that we just don't see him go long. I mean, if you look at his record, he's never been to the scorecards. He finishes guys, and he's a finisher. So a bit concerned if this fight does go long, because at the same time, Zurcher, we've never seen him finished. We have seen him go to a decision. So in terms of if this goes to the third round, I would not be surprised with a Zurcher third round knockout. That would not surprise me at all. You figure these guys are on the Contender Series. They're trying to make a name for themselves. They're trying to get that contract. It's going to hurt Magomedov. That's going to hurt him, because if he has to make this fight ugly for a contract and he has to make it flashy and make it exciting, it's going to involve some striking. His chin's been cracked before. Zurcher has power to hurt people, and he knocks people out. It's a tough one. You know, I get why Zurcher is the favorite. I would line him as the favorite too, just because, yes, I think Magomedov has the grappling advantage, but I don't think the striking should be all that close in terms of the power and the chin. Yeah, Magomedov is probably going to be a bit quicker, but I just think if Zurcher touches his chin once, he's probably going to get hurt. Maybe not fully knocked out, but that's the thing too. We just saw with the girls fight, the Jair fight. The better striker, yeah, she can look good. You can look good. You can look good. Make it close, make it competitive. All it takes is one shot. If you fold, you get a knockdown, you're screwed. You just lost the round. You're down a round. Now you got to win the next 2 rounds back to back, and you're hurt and you're compromised from getting your chin cracked. That worries me against Magomedov, because he hasn't been fighting the highest level guys. And even too, like some of the guys he's fighting, he's fighting with some grapplers too on the regional scene. Like this, which guy was it? This Sardor guy. Now, a lot of people are giving him credit for that submission win. The grappling's very competitive, and at one point, I mean, Sardor was looking damn good. He was giving him a run for his money. And the thing too is, he gets this triangle choke, but he gets it off of his back, which is not something that's going to happen against a really high-level grappler. It's like, I don't know how he fell into that trap. And the thing that tells me is like, yeah, I don't want to say he got lucky, because he had a good setup for it. But at the same time, it's like, that's probably not going to work against a guy like Zurcher. And at that point, if he's not getting that submission, he's on bottom, and his opponent has top position on him. That's not going to look good. That's going to score against him if it goes to the scorecards, and he's going to lose that round just being on bottom, throwing up submissions. And I don't see him submitting Zurcher with anything from bottom. So it's a concern for me. You know, it's a concern for me. At the same time, though, I think both of these guys have some, I don't want to say red flags, but some concerns. You know, Zurcher's speed does worry me. And if Magomedov is able to just point fight his way, Leon Edwards his way to a damn decision, just being the cleaner, quicker striker, I would not be surprised. It's just he can be a bit hittable, as we've seen. So I got to take Zurcher, just because I think he's going to likely have the better cardio. He's going to have the better chin. He's going to be more explosive in his hands with more power. And I think he's competent enough in the grappling to be able to hang with a guy like Magomedov, who's probably going to be the better natural grappler, natural wrestler. But I think Zurcher is just good enough to be able to make it competitive enough, keep it on the feet, and that's all he needs. All he needs to land is one shot, and I can't really pick against him, especially after we saw Magomedov's chin get cracked. So the pick's got to be Zurcher. The other thing I want to show you guys that was kind of interesting is both of these guys are hanging around high-level fighters. We saw Zurcher. He just did his entire training camp for this fight in Dagestan with Khabib and Islam and all those guys. So I have to assume he's been working extensively on his defensive grappling. Now, is a 6-week camp going to make or break a fighter? Is it going to turn you from zero to hero? Obviously not. But at the same time, who better to train defensive wrestling with than these guys in Dagestan? So I think if anything, his takedown defense is going to look even more improved. His wrestling is going to look even better. And that does give me a little bit more confidence in him, although not a ton. I mean, 6 weeks is not going to, like I said, it's not going to make a fighter night and day difference. But at the same time, I think it'll be really beneficial to him in this fight going against a high-level grappler like Magomedov. So I think it could help him out ever so slightly. And I was still leaning Zurcher beforehand anyway, but it does make me a little bit more confident. But at the same time, Magomedov, he's hanging with high-level guys too. As you can see with Big Ank, he was hanging with him as well. So both these guys seem to be around high-level fighters and getting good training in with high-level guys. So this is going to be a banger. That's the one thing I am very excited for this fight, because I think it's going to be a high-level scrap. Both these guys I could see going into the UFC. Whichever guy loses, I could see them coming back in a year or 2 or 3 and making their way into the UFC. But yeah, I like Zurcher ever so slightly, but I think it's going to be very close, very competitive. I know he's becoming a little bit more of a favorite than this -115 line suggests. I think he's like a -140 at this point. But yeah, I think it's close. I think it's a very close line. But next up, and lastly, we got Dani Barbir versus Mantas Kondratavicius. I'm not even going to say the last name. We got Dani Barbir versus Mantas. Now, this is an interesting one, because this is going to be a banger, and I feel like this is one of the first weeks this season to where the main event is actually a really good spot of like, okay, that makes sense why that's the main event. Because I feel like it should have been either this one or the fight before as the main event. So I'm not mad about this one at all. Now, Dani Barbir, I do like what I see from him, but he's a bit of a crash out. And when I mean crash out, I mean this guy is a crash out. He is defensively crazy. He just throws care to the wind or caution to the wind. He's willing to give one to take one. He relies on his chin to just go out there and hang tight while he wails bombs on people. He has good grappling, but he's not the best in terms of his fight IQ and his decision making. It's like he has good grappling. He can hang. I'm not worried about him getting submitted here, but it's at times a bit questionable. Even on the feet, his fight IQ is questionable. He doesn't really stick to any type of smart, intelligent game plan. He really he's looking to go to war. Now, entertainment wise as a whole, awesome. I like Barbir. I'm excited to see this fight. But in terms of the pick, it concerns me because I'm like, well, shit, this guy relies on his chin. He's willing to give one to take one. He wants to make it into a bar fight. That worries me a bit against a guy like Mantas, who he's willing to do that too. These guys are both willing to stand and bang, make it a war. Now, these guys both have grappling abilities, but I don't see this fight necessarily going to the ground. Maybe if either guy gets clipped and they're like forced to resort to the grappling, it could go to the ground. I think this is going to be a striking match if I had to predict the way this fight goes, because I think both these guys are wanting to stand and bang. Now, Mantas, he's only 25 or 26. I wasn't able to figure out, he's 25 or 26, depending. I didn't find his birthday. I just looked at his most recent fight for his age. But he's young. He came from a kickboxing background and he's transitioned into MMA. But the gym he's training at is actually a pretty grappling-oriented gym. So I think his grappling has been rapidly improving in recent years. So I don't really doubt his grappling abilities. It's just more so he has that kickboxing base that he grew up on. That's where he originally started his career off. So he's going to want to keep it on the feet. And same with Dani Barbir. He's a boxer. He wants to keep it on the feet, but he does have that grappling to rely on. And literally, when I put it in my notes for this fight, I literally called Dani Barbir. I put it in, I forget which one I exactly said it. I said, Dani Barbir. I said, he fights like a Rottweiler. I literally called him a Rottweiler, but I kind of misspoke. In my notes, I put Rottweiler. I was thinking more Doberman Pinscher. He reminds me of a Doberman Pinscher, like a human form Doberman Pinscher. That's how he fights, and that's kind of how it kind of looks like one too. It's kind of funny. But that's just how he fights. He is like mean and like quick and fast, nimble, agile, willing to make everything a war. I mean, the dude is a crash out. The fight IQ, like I said, does worry me a tad, though. Now, as we go back, look at Dani Barbir. There's one fight that really stood out to me, not in a good way, in terms of his fight IQ. He's fighting this Arkadiusz Maziakowski. He's fighting this guy who's really almost a 500, 6-4 at this time. Now, he's got to be, 6-5? If he had any more fights since then? Yeah, 6-5. So he's about a 500 fighter. He knows going into this fight that this Maziakowski guy is a BJJ black belt, and that's his best way to win this fight. He knows that ahead of time. Obviously, he knows that. He goes out here, and he's grappling with the guy. And now Maziakowski, he does have some grappling success of his own, and Dani Barbir is forced to grapple on the ground defensively and kind of hold his own, and he looks really good doing so. But there's a time, I forget if it's in the first or second round, I forget what point during this fight it was, but it was like Maziakowski gets him to the ground, and Dani Barbir is able to scramble his way up, and he gets out, and instead of like landing bombs on him, because he was having success with the striking, instead of doing that, he goes back to initiate the grappling, and he like goes for some like anaconda choke against this BJJ black belt. I'm like, dude, what the hell are we doing here? Like, what are we doing? This is not the smartest game plan. Keep it on the feet where you're having success. Now, he eventually ends up getting the round 2 knockout, so I can't hate on him when it ends up working out for him, but at the same time, the fight IQ is a major concern, and the craziness is a major concern too. I literally put that in my notes. I said, literally, he has a solid chin, but he relies on it too much. I said he has competent grappling to stay out of trouble, but he prefers to stand and bang. I said makes fights into wars, doesn't have the best fight IQ, but has some serious power and fight finishing abilities. I like Dani Barbir. In terms of an entertainment standpoint, this guy is pretty damn fun to watch. Same with Mantas. Some of his fights, I don't know if he's quite on this level yet, but he is entertaining to watch. He is pretty good. Now, with Mantas, the only fight that we've seen him lose that I'll talk about is when he just got out grappled by a decent grappler, though. It was the guy, a French guy from Reyes FC. What was his name? Virgil Augan. Now, if you look at this guy, he was 4-0 at the time. He's still undefeated. He's still in Aries. He's doing his thing as a champion over there. As you can see, undefeated still. So this guy is not a bad fighter. And that's the thing. He's a wet blanket. Just kind of wet, like hold you against the cage, like hold you down, just wet blanket his way to a win. So it makes sense why he did not get the call to the Contender Series. I can't say I'm super surprised, even though he probably should. But anyway, this loss, I don't really hold a ton against him because he lost to a high-level grappler. And like I said, he's only 25 years old. And at this point in time, he was 23. And at this point, like during that fight, he just gets out-grappled. And I feel like within the last 2 years, he's probably been able to develop his grappling quite a bit to be able to hang and make it more competitive. And Dani Barbir just isn't a wrestler who's really looking to take guys down. So stylistically, this seems like a stand and bang matchup. I feel like someone's going to get knocked out. Honestly, if I had to pick, that's why I got Dani Barbir as my pick this week. I got him to win by knockout. I think he's just going to be a step ahead. He has the experience edge over Mantas. The thing is, though, I think Mantas is good. If he gets the upset win here because Dani Barbir does some stupid shit and gets caught, I will not be surprised at all. This is not a very confident pick. I just got to go with Dani Barbir. I think he's going to have more experience. He's probably better hands on the feet. Although Mantas has the kickboxing background, I think Dani Barbir, his crazy style, can make it very ugly, make it a war, make it a bar fight. And I think that's not going to be to the advantage of Mantas. I think it's going to be to the advantage of Barbir, making it ugly and sloppy. Because Mantas, he wants to kickbox from range, kind of keep his distance and keep his style of a fight. Now, I think if he can't do that, it's going to be a problem against a guy like Dani Barbir. The last thing I'll say here is, besides the age difference too, Dani Barbir has a little bit more experience in terms of MMA as a whole as well, because Mantas started out with kickboxing. So I think Dani Barbir is going to have the more experience in terms of his own personal experience of him training in the gym. But also, with these guys being so young and so green and so new to the sport, I mean, they've been training for years, but you get what I mean. So green. The people that they surround themselves with and train with is going to make a huge difference. And between the two camps of these guys and their two training partners, it is quite a big difference. Now, I had to put this in my notes because it really did stand out to me. Now, sorry, I put this down in my notes. Mantas trains out of a small gym in Lithuania called Fighter House. And it's interesting because they don't really have any accomplished fighters in there. But the one fighter that they do have, especially from the UFC, is Julia Stoliarenko, basically BJJ one-trick pony female who just got worked in her last fight. But that's like the only high-level fighter they have is from her. And it does... it's not even that being the concern, is that the gym as a whole is a very small gym. Now, I was looking through their listed fighters. They have 7 listed active professional fighters, which is a concern to me because I'm like, all right, Mantas is training at a very small gym. And that's the thing, too. They have 2 coaches I looked up for this gym, too. Yeah, 2 coaches. They have 1 striking coach and they have 1 head coach. And now, it's weird, too, with this gym that he's training out, this fight house. It almost seems like they have an emphasis on the grappling because they have some affiliation with Gracie's and they have some high-level grappler that's their main coach there. So it seems like in Julia Stoliarenko, of all fighters, that's her gym. So it makes sense. Like, it seems almost like they have this emphasis on BJJ. And I just don't know, within the short amount of years that Mantas has had to train at a BJJ focused gym, that it's going to make that much of a difference because he is a purple belt. And I just don't know if he's going to be dangerous enough to really cause any problems for a guy like Dani Barbir, who was able to hang with a BJJ black belt in his fight against the Maziakowski guy. So the gym does worry me for Mantas. Now, because the only reason I say that is because you compare it to Dani Barbir. Now, Dani Barbir is training at American Top Team. Yes, it's not an American Top Team from the States, so it's a smaller one. It's in Croatia, so maybe not the best gym compared to some of the other locations. But at the same time, I was looking through this gym. They have 9 full-time coaches at that gym, which is absolutely crazy. They have coaches for everything. I was looking at their typology. They have striking coaches. They have grappling coaches. They have wrestling coaches. They have strength and conditioning coaches. I mean, they have so many different coaches, so many different high-level training partners that this guy's training with. I think he's going to have the more advanced, diverse, and extensive camp of guys to really be working with. And I think with these guys being so green, that's going to make a difference. You know, I think Dani Barbir is probably going to have the better environment to really rapidly improve his skill set at probably a higher pace than a guy like Mantas is in a small gym with only 2 coaches, 1 striking, 1 BJJ, and not the highest level of training partners. So obviously, you can't base a pick off of that. This is just a small factor I wanted to point out to you guys and tell you guys about, because I do think against 2 green guys from other parts of the world where, you know, it's hard to find great camps, you know, especially if you're like in Croatia. I know the fight scene's not crazy out there, or like Lithuania, but I think that's going to make a difference. That stood out to me. I had to point it out to you guys. I haven't really seen anyone else talk about that, but I think Dani Barbir likely should just be a step ahead against Mantas. Now, I think Mantas is good. I think he could likely make it to the UFC in maybe years to come. I just don't know if he's there yet. So I got to go with Dani Barbir. Maybe a later finish, maybe a round 2 knockout, maybe a round 3 knockout, but I got to go with Dani Barbir as the pick in this one. So I think I said everything I wanted to for this one. But that does it for this. Oh, shit. Also, yeah, I want to say one last thing about Dani Barbir. This is Dani Barbir standing next to Dusko Todorovic, big old boy, and he dwarfs him here. And then you look at him compared to Ante Delia, who just knocked out Marcin Tybura in his UFC debut. They're the same size. This guy's fighting at middleweight. This dude is an absolute specimen, and it's going to be crazy to see their sizes match up. I'm going to be waiting for the weigh-ins to see. For this one, it's going to be very interesting, but I just had to show that in here. I'm like, holy shit, this guy is massive. So either way, this is going to be a good-ass fight for both these guys. But anyway, guys, that does it for the video. We got the Fight Companion Tuesday, September 23rd at 8 p.m. EST, or 15 minutes before the fight starts, whichever time zone you guys live in. So make sure to show up for that. It's going to be super fun. We're going to have a ton of fun. Talk the fights, talk picks, talk bets, talk all that. We're just going to sit and chill the whole time. You guys know the deal. It's been so much fun the last couple weeks doing these with you guys. So hope to see you guys there. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. It's your boy Jacob from Topside MMA. And until I see you guys on Tuesday, I'm out. So peace.